Hi, this is the Professional Amateur Hour coming to you with another review. This week, I checked out Space Milkshake, and this 2012 film was directed by Aaran and stars Kristin Kreuk, Amanda Tapping, Billy Boyd, along with George Takei, among others, of course. The story of this film follows the crew of the space station Regina as they are transported into another dimension, and they have to figure out some way to get back. Along the way, stuff starts happening that is certainly out of the ordinary. But what will happen exactly? Well, you have to watch the movie and find out. Alright, so let's discuss this movie. Well, what works with it? Well, I do have to say I did go into this with lower expectations, and I gotta say I was pleasantly surprised, and my expectations were certainly surpassed with this one. With these space movies, usually it's this kind of 3 rooms, and they're just kind of cycling between these 3 rooms. And this one is that as well. It kind of gives it kind of this cheaper quality, like Plan 9 from outer space, but this one is like Plan 12 in outer space. And so definitely the cheaper sets that way, where they just kind of rotate it, was something I expected, but everything that happens with the characters and the whole story definitely surpassed my expectations. I was expecting it just to be, this interpersonal kind of people bickering all the time. But it wasn't that. They actually go into the story and have cross-dimensional stuff happening and aliens and all this other stuff that goes in there. So my expectations were definitely pleasantly surpassed. So what subverted my expectations? Well, I gotta say they do have this rubber duck alien thing, and I thought that was really interesting. I thought it was going to be like an alien, or not the alien, the thing kind of take on it, where it would start, attacking people and eventually replacing them. But it turns out not to be that, and that whole storyline with the duck and everything is really interesting. I never expected that. Same with Kristin's character. She plays this really cool and nonchalant computer operator, and I absolutely love that character. But then she has a personality change, and I didn't expect that, and where they take that was definitely a very interesting thing to do as well. Of course, I'm not going to give too many spoilers, so I won't get into it really, but yeah, just a bunch of stuff that really subverted my expectations, which is definitely good. So you can turn this one on, especially if you're looking for something different. In addition, I was surprised with all the big name actors that were in this really kind of smaller production. You have Kristin from the Smallville series, you have Amanda from the Stargate series, right? You have Billy from Lord of the Rings, you have George from Star Trek, right? So there's all these big names that I was actually really surprised to see. So it was just this curiosity that, I don't know, it just didn't really fit, but at the same time worked, I gotta say. And lastly, I did think this movie was funny. I know comedy is subjective, as we say on this channel, but I thought all the jokes worked, and they also don't have too many jokes, I would say. I probably laughed out loud once every 10 minutes, and so it definitely kept me, into it with the humor. And with the humor, they even have running jokes as well. They have one joke where their food machine will only make them sandwiches, so they're always fighting over the ham sandwich, and I always thought that was funny. They have this computer, and then its voice is changed to a male voice, so they try to rename it, and you'll never guess what happens.
Wendy, we will be calling you Walter from now on. That's Walter. Walter, respond.
My name is Wendy.
Also, I thought the duck was funny. It's certainly a funny little duck. And so if you thought that was funny too, it's definitely probably going to be up your alley. Like I said, I laughed out loud quite a few times. And that brings me to what doesn't work with this film. Well, I gotta say, Billy Boyd's character was terrible, I would say. Billy Boyd's doing a good job, of course, portraying the character, but all his characteristics are, very selfish. He is in this relationship with Amanda, but Amanda wants to break up, and he's like, you can't do that. You need 2 people to break up a relationship. Of course, that's not the way it works, right? But just stuff like that. And so selfish and always yelling at people. And so, I know people exist like that. I've heard horror stories from other people about, their exes and whatnot. But yeah, it's just one of those characters that gets on your nerves. Also, the set is very kind of confined to these 3 or 4 rooms, and it does get very repetitive that way. It's always these 4 rooms. They never go outside. They do, have some CGI and stuff so that you can see the outside of the Regina space station. But other than that, yeah, it's just these 4 kind of repetitive rooms over and over again. I wish they had gone outside, but as it is what it is, I can definitely overlook it. But at the same time, it does get a little bit repetitive seeing these rooms. Oh, and the biggest disappointment of this movie, there's no milkshakes in this movie. I thought for sure there would be at least one milkshake, but no milkshakes in Space Milkshakes. I was disappointed with that. So who would I recommend this movie for? Well, if you like comedy and sci-fi, then yeah, totally check this one out. It's a little bit different than normal, which is always, great to see, have some variety in there. And plus, I think you can see it on YouTube as well, so why not? As for a rating, I gotta give it the good bad score of 4.5 because it definitely surpassed all my expectations going into it. And with that being said, I think that's all I wanted to say, so like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.